that's kind of like the attitude I have when, like I said, I do have friends who are not Jewish, and maybe, and a lot of them just don't know what's going on in Israel. They're not like this side or that side. They just don't know. And I'm not gonna like get mad at them for that, but at the same time, I'm staunch in my beliefs. And if I enter a space or an area that has a lot of people who are not Jewish, I'll say, you know what? Some people might not like me for that, and that's their problem. I don't have to prove anything to them. I'm confident in my opinion. Obviously, no one wants to get criticized because it always stings, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, you know what? There's people here who like me for who I am, so I don't, I'm just gonna be me.
All right, welcome back, Schmoozers, to the podcast that helps proud Jews like you promote their personal brands. I'm David Cobby. Today, very, very special guest on the show, part-time meme maker, also happens to be a fitness coach. We got Yaakov Fein on the show. Yaakov, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Let's go. So I actually, it's funny. I went to the gym for the first time in God knows how long, 2 weeks this morning, because I knew that you were going to be on the podcast and I couldn't show up here looking very scrawny. So thank you for motivating me to go to the gym.
No problem.
But
anytime.
In all seriousness, like what you're doing with Frum Fitness and obviously your meme account, TheTurntJew, I think it's a very unique personal brand that you have. So I'm very excited to kind of pick your brain today and, have a conversation about you and how you promote yourself to other people. So very excited to have you on the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you so much again. Like I said, I've been looking forward to this, and just, you've been very easy to talk to just from the conversations we had. So let's get going.
Thank you. So, all right. So are you ready to introduce yourself through your Jewish geography profile, Yaakov?
Yes, I am.
All right. So first question I have from you, where are you originally from?
I was born and raised in Seattle, Washington. I grew up there all my life. And then I was for college, I was in New York. And then right after graduating, I made Aliyah in 2016. So just about 8 years ago. And I have been here in Jerusalem ever since.
Wow. And why did you decide to make Aliyah? Was it more of I want to live in Israel and do business there? Or was it like, I'm more spiritually connected to Israel? Like what made you make Aliyah?
It was definitely because I was more spiritually connected to Israel. I mean, I didn't start the fitness coaching until just like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. But basically after high school, I came here for a year for a gap year program, and I just fell in love with the country. And I'm just like, man, I just want to, I'm going to make it back here. I don't know how or when, but I will. So then I was thinking about making Aliyah right like then and there, but at the time I didn't know anyone. So I was like, okay, maybe not the best time right now. So went back to college, graduated, and I was like, well, I don't have student debt tying me down, and I have nothing tying me down, so I might as well make Aliyah now. So I did.
Why not? That's awesome. All right, this is a first of a kind question. I've never done this on the podcast. Mm-hmm. This is a what's more chutzpahdik question. Mm-hmm. So what is more chutzpahdik? Evading taxes or stealing an entire tray of French fries from your Pesach program in Florida?
Okay, have you ever been on a Pesach program before?
I've been in hotels with Pesach programs, and I've been partially a part of them, but they're a whole thing.
Okay, I've been on a Pesach program for a few times. They don't run out of food. So if you steal someone's fries, the person's like, okay, whatever, and they'll just order more. So you can't. So it's right. Like it's basically unlimited food. So
it is.
I want to say evading taxes is more chutzpahdik.
Okay.
I mean, part of it's coming to Israel, which we need. So,
you know what? I agree. I think there's unlimited food, but I think just the way that, like, I don't know if this is just us or other cultures, but the way that we like portion our food is incredible. I mean, you go to Kiddush at shul and you see people dumping cholent on their plate, like dumping cholent. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, how can your body handle that much cholesterol? Do you think Jews have just like an extra stomach or something? Like, what's going on with us?
Yeah, I have friends who are not Jewish, and I like have to explain to them like, yeah, we basically have like Thanksgiving every week, and we're talking about like health and fitness and stuff, and they're like, oh, so like just don't go, and I'm like, well, that's not really an option. So it was just like kind of fun. It's funny. Like I didn't think about it until I started explaining it to people who are not Jewish or not part,
Right,
not part of this culture and don't get it. And then it's like,
right.
oh, like that's kind of crazy that like we eat that much.
It is. It amazes me. Final question to finish off your Jewish geography profile. If you
Mhm.
had to lift with one Jewish figure, could be historical, could be famous person, whatever, who would it be and why?
Okay, so this past April, I was just in Texas for a conference, and one of the speakers was Jordan Syed. He's Jewish, he's very big health and fitness influencer. His Instagram's great. He's just shy of 1 million followers now. So he came to
Wow.
speak, and
Mhm.
I like flew in just for that basically, or that was like I was like on the fence about going, and then I heard he was speaking. I was like, oh, I'm going. And I got to meet him, and he was just so cool because there's always that fear of like, oh, you're meeting someone famous. They're really cool online, but they kind of suck in real life. But no, he was exactly the same offline as he is online, and he was just so cool to talk to, and he was awesome. And of course, we're both Jewish, so we connected right away on that. So I would love to lift with him. He would 100% outlift me because he's been training longer, and I've seen videos of him lifting, and he just lifts a lot more than me. So, but it would be an awesome session, though.
I love that. It sounds like he's. I mean, 1 million followers is crazy. First of all, but I mean, you got to be doing
Yeah.
something right with your personal brand to get that many followers. And I think, the fitness with social media, the fitness coach sphere, the possibilities are absolutely endless in terms of who each fitness coach can cater
Hmm.
to, what kind of workouts they want to do. I know since you're also a meme god, I know there's a bunch of and I don't know if you've done one of these videos, but like there's actually my friend sent it to me today. There's like these workout videos that like people do to imitate somebody. So the ones that my friend sent me today was Israeli workouts, and there was I think it was like a bicep curl machine, and he was doing like the new like he was doing like that. I'm trying to think of some other ones. But have you done a video like that yet or no?
I haven't even seen like an original one like that. So no, I haven't. But
Okay,
send it to
okay.
me afterwards so I can,
I'll I'll
so I can.
I'll share it with
Yeah,
you afterwards
please.
because I feel like that's right up your alley. You get the meme and you get the fitness part of it. So
Exactly.
all right, let's
Yeah.
let's hop in a little bit to your Jewish identity. I want to talk about kind of how your Jewish identity has changed over time. I know on your Instagram account you made a whole post discussing how you were once part of the Black Hat, Haredi, Orthodox, whatever you want to call it, community.
Yeah.
Um, and I actually know a lot of people that have kind of had the same issue as you, where they've tried to mold into this community, which isn't for everybody. And it didn't, quite frankly, it didn't pan out for you. It didn't relate to you. So talk about like what that struggle was like, and when did you know that portraying yourself as a black hat, Haredi, yeshivish, Orthodox Jew, whatever you want to call it, when did you know that that wasn't for you?
So my Jewish journey is a little complicated because growing up, I was actually, my family's not Orthodox. I became Orthodox on my own when I was around 16, 17 or so. I would say that's like when I started getting interested. And then 18, when I was at high school and was in yeshiva, that's when things like really took off for me. And, at the time, like when from 18 to 21 or so, um, I didn't really care about what box I was fitting into, because I was just like, I love Hashem, I love Torah. I had a bunch of friends who were also kind of in the same boat, so it never really bothered me. So then I went to Yeshiva University, to YU, for college, and I had some friends who I really looked up to, who were kind of heading in that quasi yeshivish, quasi Haredi, whatever you want to call it, direction, like the black hat and all that. And that kind of rubbed off on me. And I was like, oh, I guess that's like what I should do. And looking back, now that I think about it, I was just like really judgmental towards people, and I was like judging people so much just based on what they were wearing. So I would see someone who's like not dressing like that, and I'd be like, oh, he's not as religious as me because I'm dressing that way. And Hashem had to take me down to a peg or 10. So yeah, I did that for a while. I bought my black hat when I was like 23, I think, here in Israel. And for the first couple of years here, I was a madrich in yeshiva, like a dorm counselor, basically. And, a lot of my friends were, also in the quasi Haredi, not sure exactly what to call it, but something, in that general space. So again, that sort of reinforced things. But something, didn't feel right. Like, it felt like I was just so obsessed with like looking a certain way and acting a certain way, but I wasn't actually putting my heart into like learning Torah or like serving Hashem. It was just like more like, I just really want to be in this space because I thought that's what I had to do to be close to God. But then after I was a madrich in yeshiva, when I was like, living with, for lack of a better word, normal people, that's like, that's kind of when I realized like, oh, I don't have like all these like close friends now. I mean, we were still friends, but I wasn't seeing them all the time. The ones who were like in the yeshivish space. And then suddenly, I was on my own, and I slowly started realizing like, maybe I was like putting way too much emphasis on looking a certain way and like trying to force myself into a space. And I wasn't actually like putting my heart into things. So I can't think of like a specific instance where I started realizing that. Like first I went from like wearing white shirts to like colored shirts, which is super scandalous or whatever in that area. But yeah, and then again, I can't remember a specific moment where I was just like, oh, this isn't for me. But it was a gradual realization that I was like, you know what? I'm not going to worry about labels. I'm not going to worry about, fitting into a space. I'm just going to be me. And what also helped was that when I was done being a madrich, a dorm counselor, I'm now in these communities where a lot of other people are kind of in the same boat, where they don't quite fit into a box. And, we're all just trying to be authentic and all that. And that really just helped me, push in that direction. So it's always funny. I get asked like, oh, how do you identify like hashkafically? Like your hashkava means like outlook, if you didn't know. And I'm just like, I don't know. I love Israel. I love Hashem. I love Torah. I love Shabbos and all that. And I don't really care about looking a certain way or acting a certain way or whatever, or fitting into a certain community or,
Whenever somebody asks me like, what type of Jewish am I, right? I'll say, oh, I'm a Sephardi Jew. But they're like, no, what actual type of Jewish are you? I'll be like, well, I went to a conservative reform day school. I went to a modern Orthodox synagogue, and now I went to a public university. So you tell me what type of Jewish I am. So I'm the same way. Like the whole box thing is so silly because it's like, yeah, people want to fit in and have labels and stuff. But when it comes to Judaism, at the end of the day, a Jew is a Jew. One thing that I noticed right away between you and I is you're wearing a kippah right now. I'm not. I don't have a kippah on. It's something that like doesn't really resonate with me. But let me ask you this. So is a kippah, and you can be brutally honest, is a kippah absolutely necessary to wear for a Jewish man to show his Jewish pride? If not, what are some other ways that you think a Jewish man can showcase that he is a proud Jew?
That's a very good question. And obviously I'm not a rabbi, so grains of salt, but but I mean, a kippah is definitely one way. I wear one just because, well, at this point it just feels weird to not wear one for me, because I've just been wearing one for like over 10 years.
Sure.
But for me, I mean, I'm in Israel where, you know, it's not it's easy to be like a proud Jew, but like I still, but like just in America, for example, it's a lot more challenging to like be openly Jewish, especially nowadays with everything going on. So I think it's a very bold statement to go out and wear a kippah. But that being said, there are other ways to show Jewish pride. It's just, you know, wearing a like a Star of David necklace, for example, um, or just if it comes up, if you're in a group with non-Jews and the subject comes up, you're like, yeah, I'm Jewish, just like, and being like nonchalant and not hiding it, basically. Right. That doesn't mean you got to shove it in everyone's face that you're Jewish, but at the same time, but when it does come up, you're like, yeah, I'm Jewish.
Right.
So
right.
I think Jewish pride can come in different flavors. I mean, just this is the religious part of me is like talking. Like I'm a very big fan of wearing a kippah, but then again, I'm not living in America now, so where things are different and it's a lot more scary. I mean, I can say that when I do take a trip to America, I feel like I have to like look over my shoulder a lot just to, and thank God nothing has happened to me, but you know.
It's definitely, and I can tell you right now, you know, for me, it's when I see somebody wearing a kippah in America, not in, you know, my neighborhood that's 90% Jewish, I'm like, wow, like props to you. I usually just wear my Magen David. You can't really see it, but I think I just think it's so important to identify oneself as a Jew. I know there's a lot of like risks and dangers with it, and again, this is just my personal opinion, because when there's another Jewish person that's not openly identifying themselves as Jewish, and they see another Jew, they automatically feel more comfortable. So for me, it's like when I'm wearing my Magen David out in certain areas where I feel comfortable, and, you know, maybe I don't even know that another person is Jewish that's walking by and sees my Magen David and makes their day. But you never know when you'll need to, I guess, like openly identify as a Jew. And I think in this day and age, with everything going on, with anti-Semitism rising, it's very hard to take that step and say, I'm going to wear my kippah out today. I'm going to wear my Jewish star today. Because quite frankly, in some areas, that's a death sentence. And it's so hard to like actually physically do that. But at the same time, for me, the one thing that like keeps me going, and I don't know if you think about it like this, is the more we hide our Judaism, the more that's saying, oh, Hamas is winning, Hezbollah is winning, Iran is winning. That's how I kind of think of it. Do you kind of think of the same way, or is it more?
Yeah, I mean, I can say like my family, for example, my parents, my brother, they're not like observantly Jewish, but they're very proud of being Jewish. And my mom, like at work, she wears the Magen David necklace, and you know, my whole family is like very staunchly pro-Israel, and they don't, as far as I know, they don't really like back down from that in situations. And that's part of the reason, because they just have a lot of friends who are in the same boat. So even if they meet people who don't like them for that, it's like, okay, that's their problem. And that's kind of like the attitude I have when, like I said, I do have friends who are not Jewish, and you know, maybe, and a lot of them just don't know what's going on in Israel. They're not like this side or that side. They just don't know. And I'm not going to like get mad at them for that, or but at the same time, I'm staunch in my beliefs. And if I enter a space or an area that has a lot of people who are not Jewish, I'll say, you know what? Some people might not like me for that, and that's their problem. I don't have to prove anything to them. I'm confident in my opinion. Obviously, no one wants to get criticized because it always stings. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, you know what? There's people here who like me for who I am. So I don't, I'm just going to be me.
I love that. And I think it's very clear that your sense of Jewish pride is on another level. I mean, you've moved to Israel, made Aliyah, you wear your kippah everywhere. And it's good that we have people like you out of the 0.2% of the population. You know, I would hope that every single one of those 0.2% of Jewish, or 0.2% of the population, which are Jewish, right? I'd hope every single one of them are a proud Jew. But when it comes to business, right, it's not always that we see people catering to only Jews or targeting Jews a lot. And with your personal fitness coaching business, you decided to target strictly Jews. Correct me if I'm wrong, but strictly Jews. Your account name is called Frum Fitness, which I think is an amazing name to, you know, from marketing perspective. Like that's a great name. But I want to talk about, like, why did you decide to target only Jews in your fitness coaching, you know, business when they're 0.2% of the population?
Well, so when it comes to marketing, I would say that it's good to have like a very honed in niche. Like these are the people I serve, because I don't need to work with everyone. With the coaching I do, I don't need like thousands of clients to, you know, be successful. I just need like a handful that are like super committed and willing to show up. So a lot of people think, oh, I just target the Jewish community because I am Jewish and I live in it. And that's part of it, I guess. The other part is that just, you know, growing up in the Jewish community and from being in yeshiva, and I've experienced like different communities of Judaism, and all of them never really emphasize like physical health all that much. And it was more like, oh, if you know, it's a nice thing to do, or if you have time, sure, go on a run. But for me, and I always had that notion, but then for me, for a while, I was struggling with my mental health, with depression, and all these other things. And eventually, I got into fitness because, to be honest, I was just like, I just want to look better. I just want to look hot. I want to look muscular. That was the initial reason. But and I, you know, started looking like that, and it was great. But I also started to start feeling better. I had more energy. I was smiling more. People were noticing that I was just like glowing a lot more. And I didn't realize just like how beneficial that was to my mental health. And I suddenly had this drive to like just keep improving, keep, you know, living the best life that I can. And I'm like, damn, why does nobody talk about this in this community? Because like I said, it was kind of pushed as more of an afterthought. And I remember when I was at YU, I was with, you know, I was kind of in my quasi Haredi era, more or less. And I had friends who were there. And like, I remember some of them would make some like comments that are like, oh, that guy goes to the gym and he's muscular. Like, oh, he's wasting his time like with that. And looking back, I was just like, man, I was just a judgmental a-hole.
Wow.
Just looking back. But now that like I kind of got to experience all that, and I was like, oh, like I feel fantastic now. And, you know, I'm not depressed anymore, or like way less. And like I said, I just want to live like a really fantastic life. And fitness is the thing. It's something that a lot of people want, but so many people are just struggling with in terms of like just figuring out what to do. Like there's so much misinformation out there, or figuring out what to eat, because every influencer is trying to fearmonger about like this food is terrible, this food's going to kill you. And I had to go through a lot of trial and error to figure out the food, how to do the workouts. I ended up like hiring someone to help me with the workouts because I just couldn't figure it out. And I was just like, man, there are people who like really need guidance with this. So I wanted to step into that role and to become a leader.
Wow. I mean, one point I absolutely want to touch on that you mentioned that a lot of people just don't know about is going to the gym helps you mentally so much. And it's not even, for me, it's not even, you know, looking good, looking muscular, looking skinny, whatever. Working out scientifically, the act of working out, doing something hard, doing something that like is difficult to accomplish will will give you some sort of dopamine rush. Like for me, every time I go to the gym, it's like, yeah, it sucks. Like lifting weights sucks. It's not fun, right? It's fun when you're done and you feel it and you feel good. I really think there's a lot of misinformation out there about, these fad diets and, you need to do this to lose weight. You need to do that to gain muscle. But when it comes down to it, it's really not that complicated, right?
Yeah, like looking back, it's just like once you figure it out, it's actually pretty simple. It's just
Right.
like I said, so much misinformation, so much conflicting opinions, but it's like really just some very basic principles you just have to adhere to. And if you do that, everything else is, I won't say easy, but simple.
Exactly. I think simple is a very good term to define it. One thing, I noticed in your bio is going back to this whole marketing slogan thing, is that you are able to help people lose weight without giving up their Shabbat challenge. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, this is fake. There's no way that's possible. No, I'm kidding. But in all seriousness, how do you let your clients eat cholent, which is arguably one of the, nutritionally,
Super
it's got some
fattening food.
protein, very fattening, raises your cholesterol, whatever. How do you let your clients eat cholent, but still keep on track to lose weight and become in better fitness shape?
Good question. Okay, so the thing I like to focus on my clients is like, okay, Shabbos can be hard. You're not always in control of what you're eating. There's delicious food everywhere. Let's focus on making Sunday through Friday, pretty much anytime that's not Shabbos. Let's make that rock solid. So my clients are working out like 3-4 times a week. They're walking a lot. They're eating really well throughout the week. And then when Shabbos comes, I'll say, maybe don't 100% stuff yourself with challah or, but I won't say like, oh, don't like avoid this food at all costs, because I think that creates a very restrictive mindset. But I find that, when you have a very solid routine throughout the week where you're doing well, you can, enjoy Shabbos and it's not catastrophic to your, fitness results. That being said, like, if someone is going through the week and they're like snacking all the time and they're not hitting their workouts, and yeah, Shabbos is definitely compounds the problem. But if you're doing really solid, then you can still like stay on track. And granted, Shabbos slows things down a little bit, but I think having that room to, enjoy yourself is what really lets people like stick to the process, because I think that's one of the best things about Shabbos is that a lot of people, like, they'll say, oh, I can never eat this food again, like pizza or cholent or challah or whatever. But like I said, it creates a very restrictive mindset. When you have like a goal line, like let's say it's a Wednesday or Thursday and you're like, man, I'm tempted to order a pizza, but it's like the end of the week. So you're like, oh, I just gotta wait till Friday night and then I can eat something delicious, So it kind of takes a lot of the burden off when you have like a goal in mind or a end point, quote unquote.
I definitely think that, saying no to Mrs. Greenberg's schnitzel, God forbid, would be worse than like actually eating it, because first of all, there's some Jewish cultural thing where if you deny somebody's food, oh my God, don't even get me started. I've heard horror stories of people denying somebody's kugel, cholent, you name it. Oh my God, I've heard they've been locked in the basement and tortured, or whatever. I don't want to get into it, but people don't really understand that nutrition is the key driver to, making your fitness just better. So what, I guess, from a mathematical standpoint, right? You're getting in shape. You want to get, whatever, whether you're bulking, whether you're cutting, whether you want to maintain, what percent of this quote unquote like fitness strategy is centered around actually working out versus what percent of it is actually based on nutrition, would you say?
I would say it's about 80% nutrition and 20% exercising. We have I mean, we have a saying in like the fitness space, which is you cannot out-train a bad diet. So if you're hitting the gym all the time, awesome. But if you're eating like garbage, then you're not going to get the results you want. So, I mean, we have a saying in like the fitness space, which is you cannot out-train a bad diet. So if you're hitting the gym all the time, awesome. But if you're eating like garbage, then you're not going to get the results you want. So, um, so, and people get like very hyper focused on like, oh, I need to lose 30 pounds. And there's nothing wrong with having a goal like that. But people get so laser focused on that they, as soon as they reach it, they're like, okay, what do I do now? And they end up falling off basically. Whereas I'm more like, hey, I'm going to get you to your goal, but let's forget about the goal for a second, because my real goal is to help you build a lifestyle where you can stick to this, where it's, you're not doing this in a super unsustainable way that, makes you miserable. So that's why I need to allow that breathing room for my clients to enjoy what they want, basically. And I had a point when I was trying to lose weight where I was like going like too far with it, and I missed like going out. Like I got invited to go out to a restaurant with friends, and I said no because I was like, oh, I don't want to overeat or anything. And just looking back, I was like, man, I was like depriving myself of like socializing just out of fear of overeating. I'm like, and now I have this way where it's like, I'm in great shape, thank God. And I can still, if a friend invited me out for dinner tomorrow night, I'd be like, yeah, okay, let's go. Like, no problem, no guilt. I approach every Shabbos with like, okay, like if I overeat, who the hell cares? I'm going to lose all the calories by like Tuesday or something. So it's not a setback, basically.
I was listening to your podcast. I think the podcast was the CEO Athletes podcast. And you kind of talked about how there was a point in time where you were very focused on the money part of the fitness coaching business and how it really stressed you out for a long time. But then your mindset shifted to focusing on clients and making sure that they're happy and being obsessed with this idea of client satisfaction. How do you maintain that mindset of making sure that your clients are happy, knowing that it might not always translate to generating positive revenue?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And truth be told, I think everyone struggles with this. So to a degree, I'm still struggling with this. Like sometimes it's very easy to get caught up in the money, especially for anyone listening to this who might be thinking about entering entrepreneurship. This is something that you're going to have to deal with, especially at the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey. It's really, for me, just like focusing a lot on service, on reminding myself why I started doing this, because like I want to help people. And don't get me wrong, I love signing on a new client and all, but when a client tells me, hey, I lost, like 5 pounds this month or 10 pounds this month, that also gets me super, super happy. And I try to focus on that stuff. But yeah, it's also making sure that I'm doing okay, like emotionally, mentally, because if I'm in a bad place, like God forbid, I'm having a bad day or whatever, it is hard to connect to that mindset of like, hey, I'm here to serve people. But I would say majority of the time, I can, be in that mindset of like, I'm here to help people, I'm here to serve people. And whether that's like they're one of my clients, or even just talking to someone who I know is not going to sign on with me for whatever reason, like maybe they just don't have money or whatever it is. I've just gotten into conversations with people where they like, this goes into another subject, but a lot of guys are just like dealing with a lot of stuff mentally and they feel like they can't get help. So they see me online, like kind of being vulnerable and open sometimes. And they're like, whoa. And I get into these like super deep conversations where these guys tell me things that like they've never even told their wives. So it gets like really crazy. Like when you put your heart out there, like that people respond to it.
So you kind of act as like a a therapist towards them, essentially.
Yeah, definitely not an official therapist, um, but yeah, listen, wellness and being happy, it's not just fitness. I mean, I think that's the foundation of everything. That's why I started this, but it's also like for me, I didn't get fit and suddenly all my problems disappeared. I suddenly had more energy, more confidence, and I was more willing to be bold to live a better life for myself, to fix my problems, to go after what I want, basically. And I tried to instill that kind of mindset in my clients and being like, hey, like, I'm glad we're working on fitness, but what do you want to work on in your personal life? And some of them are not super receptive to that. And, that's fine. I'm fine with like helping them just get in shape. But some of them, we go deeper and I help them with, you know, whatever else. So there's sort of a life coach. I don't like calling myself a life coach because I don't know. I just don't like the term for some reason, but I do like talking about these things with my clients. And granted, not all of them are open to talking about it, and that's totally fine. But the ones who do, they make like a real change, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally as well, and just in their spirit.
For those of you looking to get more in shape or want a life coach of some sort, like Yaakov is the man. I think he just told you everything about why he is the best Jewish fitness coach out there for you. First of all, he's remote. He also will talk to you about your problems, and he's going to get you in shape. So if you're seriously considering, making a lifestyle change, I think Yaakov is a great option, as you can see here. One thing that Yaakov is very, very good at doing is helping people feel emotionally good, right? So with his fitness coaching, he makes people feel, very good about their bodies. And he also talks to people about their problems. Now, you might ask, how does he make people laugh? Well, that's a different thing. TheTurntJew has over 21,000 followers on Instagram and is one of the funniest Jewish meme accounts. If you're not following it, I don't know what the hell you're doing. I somehow did not come across TheTurntJew ever in my time until Yaakov reached out to me about this podcast. So, Yaakov, I want to ask you, what inspired you to start TheTurntJew?
So, funny story. I stumbled into the whole meme thing by accident. I had no intention of becoming like quasi famous and like kind of getting recognized when I go out in public sometimes, which is always a hoot, by the way. I love when people like that. Just happened last night. I was on my way back to my apartment from the gym and I was listening to something and on my phone, and this guy like comes up to me and taps me on the shoulder. He's like, "Are you TheTurntJew?" I was like, "Yes, I am." And I love when that happens. So if anyone listening to this ever sees me in public, please come and say hi. I love meeting my fans. But anyway, yeah. So in like 2014, 2015, that's when memes started becoming like really mainstream. Before it was kind of like not super popular, or it was like more niche, but suddenly became like mainstream and everyone was loving them. And there were some like Jewish meme accounts on Instagram that I was following back in the day, but none of them were like orthodox. I'm like, you could make a million of these, like about just like daily life as an Orthodox Jew or just in Judaism in general. And I don't know, I'm very good at like internet humor in general. Like anyone who was friends with me on Facebook back when I was in college, remember I would post just like random funny stuff. And I was like, maybe I could like, just like for fun, I would just like learn how to make memes. And I was in a WhatsApp group with a bunch of friends from yeshiva, and I would post them there and they're like, "Oh, these are really funny. Like, where'd you find them?" I was like, "Actually, I made them." and they were like, "Oh, you gotta post these online." I'm like, "Okay, why not?" So I started posting them, and I would just like, and after like a couple weeks, like I remember some people I went to high school with who like I haven't talked to in years were just like contacting me. They're like these are the funniest thing I've ever seen. So it just sort of like became a thing. How did I decide on the name TheTurntJew? I'll be honest, I don't remember. I just thought it sounded cool. And at the time, the word turnt was just like I don't know. It was just one of those words that was being used all the time. So I was like, oh, why don't I just use that? But now nobody uses it. So I feel like I'm single-handedly keeping the word alive on life support. But anyway, so I was just like, I was just having fun with it. And to this day, I'm still just having fun with it, to be honest. And then one day when I was in Israel, this is like a few months after I made Aliyah, I woke up and I check Instagram. I have 500 new followers. I'm like, okay, this is a glitch or something. And I come to find out that a larger Jewish meme account, I think it was called like Jew Things or something. And they had like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one. At the time, they had 50,000 followers or something. And they reposted one of mine and like gave me credit and tagged me. And I'm like, oh, I'm famous now. Okay. Because I'm a thing. And like I said, I was a Madrid yeshiva, so like all the guys there discovered that I was running this meme account and they thought it was the funniest thing in the world. So they told their friends about it. And then when those friends would like come to visit the yeshiva, they would see me and they'd be like, oh, you do the memes, right? I was like, wow, I'm kind of famous now. And like I said, to this day, I just am having fun with it. I've never paid a cent to like boost any of my posts. I've never done research into like what's trending and stuff. I just do what I think is funny, you know?
First of all, your memes are just like, I just like scroll through them and I'm just like, how does he come up with this content? Like, it's so funny. Just everything from, I think today, what did you post? The Sem girls twerking video. And what was the caption? It was like, oh my God,
like you're some girl and you say Tehillim one time or something.
And then there's also like the one where it's like the girl like staring at you and like you're putting on tefillin. Like every time I put on tefillin now, I'm just gonna think of that video. So thank you. Like now you have me distracted from putting on tefillin.
Yeah,
but I think it's awesome what you're doing. I guess like what is your main mission with TheTurntJew? Is it to get people to laugh? Is it to get people to make fun of Jews? Like what's the, I guess, like goal and mission of TheTurntJew?
I'm just here to make people laugh, to be honest. Like we have so many things in our culture, our traditions that you can make jokes out of. And, I'm just here to have fun. I'm not here to be like some bold activist or something, because a lot of Jewish content creators, like since October 7th, basically have been, very big on Israel activism. And that's great. Don't get me wrong. But like, I feel like I don't have much to add to that conversation. And majority of my audience is Jewish. So we're like on the same page about it. So I feel like I don't have much to add to that. So I kind of think of my page as like, okay, there's some terrible things going on in the world, but like come to my page and you can like just have a laugh for a minute and just for a second forget what's going on. And like sometimes I'll like make fun of anti-Semites or something, but for the most part, I try to avoid the subject just because I feel like I don't need to remind people what's going on. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's very similar to, Modi Rosenfeld, right?
Yeah.
The comedian?
Yeah.
Okay. Modi says the exact same thing. He doesn't talk about, he talks about Israel a little bit, but his whole point is he wants to have people come to his page, go to his comedy shows, and just laugh and forget about everything that's going on in the world. And I honestly, it's very impressive that you haven't, used your platform to, this is going to sound very weird, but you haven't used your platform to talk about October 7th, to talk about all the tragedies that's going on, because you want to stick to simply making memes and making people laugh and kind of like deflecting away from it. So I really think it's a very impressive feat, and that you're able to do that without really incorporating, kind of like the undertones and like the sadness, and you're able to kind of like make a play on this kind of like very sad times. And like I know one of the memes you posted that's very funny, but like actually isn't funny, is like how when somebody calls you a Zionist, right? Like it's like you're like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, like, thanks. Yeah, listen, I I've talked about a little bit like what's going on here and there, but again, and I'm not like criticizing any Jewish content creators who,
Right.
use their platform to talk about it. I think that's awesome. It's just, like I said, I just feel like I don't have much to add to the conversation, and we're all seeing the same horrendous stuff going on. And it's like, what's me posting about this going to do? Like, we're, like I said, most of my audience is Jewish. We're all on the same page. We all hate this. So, so, you know, I'm just here to make people laugh. Like I said, that's my only objective.
I think that's a very good mission and an even better mindset, quite frankly. So, final question for you here, Yaakov. How do you balance posting content for Frum Fitness, which is completely separate from TheTurntJew? How do you manage, time wise, content wise? How do you manage to balance both the Frum Fitness account and TheTurntJew?
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because, I mean, you've seen my meme account. I have 22,000 followers. And my only objective is to make people laugh. When it comes to the fitness stuff, that is so much harder for me because, like, I can use humor, but I'm also trying to like promote a message. I'm also trying to advertise myself. So it gets really tough, to be honest. And like, I'm still figuring that out. But as far as actually creating the content, once I actually have an idea of like, oh, this is something I want to make a joke about, so this is something I want to talk about, the actual like filming and writing and stuff, that happens like really quickly. It just flows really naturally. What I've been doing lately is just like batching all my content, which means like I'll just do a lot of filming and a lot of writing all at once and like have it ready to go for the next week. So I usually do that on Friday, where I'll spend a few hours just writing, filming, doing whatever I need to do. And then it's like pretty much set up for me. And all the memes I have for this week, I made them all on Friday, actually. So I just spread it out over the week. So, and schedule it ahead of time, so I don't even need to go into Instagram to upload it.
That's very smart. I like a little, pre-Shabbat meme sesh. I'm sure that's very fun. Gets you in the mindset for Shabbat. Yaakov, I want to thank you for your time. Yeah. Where can people find you across social media? I know you have Frum Fitness, you have TheTurntJew. Where can people find you on social media?
Good question. Okay, so you can find me on Facebook, just Yaakov Fein, my name. And I'll if you send me a friend request, I will probably add you, unless you look like a serial killer or something. As far as Instagram goes, the handle is frum.fitness, frum.fitness, fitness. That's for my fitness stuff, obviously. For my meme page, it's just all one word, TheTurntJew, TheTurntJew.
Guys, I don't think I even need to tell you to follow Yaakov, because he'll put you in shape and he'll make you laugh. I think those are the only two things we need in life. So besides some cholent and kogel, okay? So I'll add that in. But no, seriously, Yaakov, you're an amazing guest. Thank you again for coming on. Everybody, make sure follow Yaakov on the socials for some good fitness content, for some funny content. Until next time, keep schmoozing.